Welcome to where time has no teeth. Well, hello. You made it back. Very nice. In the last video, we disassembled a Seagull ST 3600 movement. We needed some help from some friends to get through it, but we did it. Oh, we really did. Now we are going to need our friends' help today more than ever. We're going to put this movement back together and have it run in the end. I have faith we can do it with all the support of you and our friends. So the large silver wheel we put in was the mainspring in the barrel. The first gold wheel we put in here is the third wheel. The next gold colored wheel is the second wheel and is in the middle of the movement. And on the dial side of the movement, the pivot turns the hour hand once. It is all put together. I move the barrel to see if the gears are meshing well and spin. It is a good idea to do this when placing these wheels to make sure the pivots are set in the jewels as they should be. Next comes the barrel bridge. This supports the barrel so it stays in place. As I place this bridge, I could swear I was on a 45-degree slope. This thing would just slip off and not stay put.
Hello, I'm Ash. I was asked to bring questions that viewers had requested. First one, and it's a good one, why watches? Why not cars or electronics?
Hey, Ash, glad you made it. So, mainly due to limited space requirements of watchmaking and no real electrical tools needed. Thanks for the question. That was great. It finally fits in place. I hope this is not how this whole build is going to go. It's okay. We got this. Here comes the fourth wheel. This little guy's pivot on the dial side is where the second hand connects, making one full rotation in 60 seconds. Again, who thought of all this stuff? Here in a couple days, we are going to a local swap meet. I met a vendor at work and we were talking about watches, and he told me about this meet. He said they have vendors from all over the place and they sell vintage watches. I'm excited to see what I can find there. Auction sites are a good place to find watches, but here I'll be able to see them firsthand before taking the plunge and making the purchase. The whole family is going, so it will be a great weekend. Again, just spinning the barrel to make sure the wheels are all rotating. As I mentioned before, I like to do this before and after placing a new part. As you can see, the fourth wheel was making the train stick a little. This tells me I need to fiddle with it a little more before moving on. Now we can place the main bridge. This secures the second, third, and fourth wheels to the movement. This can be finicky work. You need to make sure all the pivots are in place before tightening down the bridge with screws. If they are not in place and you torque the screws down, there is a strong likelihood you will either damage the pivots or the jewels that are in the main bridge.
Hey friend, another question. How did you get started in this hobby? What was your inspiration?
Oh, thanks for the question. As I mentioned in my last video, I have always been interested in how things work. I was watching some videos and a watch video popped up. I was fascinated by the workings of mechanical watches. I thought to myself, I can do that. I started looking for vintage watches in various places like estate sales, friends and family. Most recently, I started looking on auction sites, and the rest, as they say, was history. I found some tools on the internet and started tinkering with the watches I had acquired. These are some great questions. Keep them coming.
Okay, just an observation. I see you are trying the sports tape instead of finger cots your wife recommended. How is that working out?
Another good one. Well, they are very comfortable. They are I believe they are not allowing oils to transfer to the movement, so they're doing a great job at that. However, I have noticed some small fibers that might transfer to the parts. This would be a bad thing with final assembly due to them getting to places they should not be. In time, this could cause issues with reliability with the movement. So I probably will go with the finger cots. You never know unless you try different things. It was a great idea and had to give it a try. So I skipped ahead a little. The bridge was not cooperating and I wanted to save you the pain I was feeling to get it to all line up, but we got it. We were going to put the 3 screws in. I'm holding the bridge down with some pegwood just so it doesn't move out of place while I'm installing the screws. These blued screws just add to the beauty of this movement. It adds just a little pop of color. I just noticed my camera positions in my video. Somehow my digital microscope window got moved and made a little smaller than it should be. There isn't anything I can do about it now because when the video was recorded, the camera views are embedded. Something to fix for the next one. Hopefully, now that I pointed it out, it doesn't bother you through the rest of the adventure. I went to a training lately for work. It was a leadership training course, and the focus was on the Enneagram. It was an interesting course. It was to help leaders know their strengths and weaknesses. There was a quiz that you had to take before the class started. It was basically a personality quiz. My results stated I was a 5 with a wing to a 6. I was like, okay, I have no idea what that means, but cool. The class broke it down more. 5 is a person that values wisdom, knowledge, and learning. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Tell me more. The 5 wants to have a good understanding of the world. Okay, again, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. Style 5 likes solitude and can take advantages of what it has to offer. Knowledge is acquired through experience and working with others. They have a knack for clear communication and can lighten the mood in bad situations with dry humor. I'm like, are you in my head right now? How long have we known each other? Oh, we just met.
Hey, friend. I haven't seen Mr. Vertigo or Mr. Spring yet. What up? Also, I don't want the bearer of bad news, but did you forget something in the assembly?
Hey, Ash. Our friends don't really live on this side. They will make their grand appearances once we get to the dial side, though. Don't worry, they will be hanging out soon. Oh my gosh, Ash, you are correct. I forgot the pin that screws to the setting lever. Thank you so very much for keeping me on my toes. I think I mentioned I would probably forget to put that in on my last video. Oh well, more practice. We will have to remove the barrel bridge and put that in there. Not a huge deal. 2 screws, we get to manipulate the beautiful blued screws again. So more about this training. So Style 5 finds it easy to sit back and observe the world. This trait allows you to look at the big picture of a situation from the 10,000-foot view. I'm thinking I'd do that. 5s can think objectively and usually cut to the chase. I'm thinking I do that. Communication skills are high, and 5s are able to be non-judgmental. Yes, that is me. They are respectful towards others in a sensitive but also direct way. Wait, they get this all from some questions that I answered? What kind of class is this? How long had they been following me around before this class? Like, so this all sounds great. I'm an awesome person with no flaws. Wait, there is more. 5s struggle with feelings. I was like, yeah, what are those things? All I know is I don't want any of them getting on me. 5s have a hard time sharing their time. I'm like, yeah, I know. Time is the only currency in this world that you can't get back. You can make more money. You can buy more gadgets, but you cannot buy more time. This is the main reason why I greatly appreciate you spending time with us during this adventure. There are many things you could do, but today you decided to spend some of your precious time currency with us here. So thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you all so much hanging out with us here. You folks are all rock stars.
Here is the pin that I forgot to put in. Again, it needs to be put in from the watchmaker side, and then the barrel bridge is placed, covering it up. I'm having a hard time holding on to this pin and getting it in the hole. It's a slippery one for sure. So back to the Enneagram. So for fives, defensive strategies, as I mentioned, fives are not comfortable with feelings. They can be isolated and compartmentalized. Feelings drain fives. They separate their feelings from their thoughts. So if you ask a five what they are feeling, they will instead tell you what they are thinking about. Interesting. There's a saying, with absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, don't try that with fives. If you're out of sight, you will be forgotten. This is very interesting stuff. The Enneagram has been around for thousands of years. It was used in astrology, religion, and now self-realization. I feel like I graduated with a degree in psychology. I didn't, but it feels that way. Where do fives learn this behavior? So they say during early development, you understand the give and take involved in developing relationships, but this knowledge was blocked due to people around you not attending to your needs when you had interactions with them. Wait, is this a watch video or a psychology class? They going to say that you may had been interrupted on a regular basis as you were doing your thing. But then when you needed attention, it was not available to you. So based on this, you learned that it was better to do things on your own. Okay, so what happens when a five is stressed, you may ask? Well, for me, they said, because of how I identify with the other numbers in the Enneagram, I would be more willing to help others and not think about doing it. And it would be done in a friendly and playful manner. They said I could interject humor in a situation to lighten the mood. So doesn't sound too bad if I'm stressed out. Okay, back to building watches. Now we are going to put in the click spring. It has a bent end that fits into the bridge, and the other end is also bent, and the click pushes on it to create the spring action. Now we put in the click and get it secured.
Hey, friend, another observation. Is the clicking correct? It looks like it might be upside down. Am I crazy?
No, Ash, you are the most sane person I know. You are correct. After the assembly was finished, the movement would not wind correctly. The click was working, but it did not feel right. I went back and removed it and noticed that I had placed it in upside down. Still learning here, but I had great satisfaction that I could recognize the error and correct it. Thanks again, Ash, for your observation. You rock. Here we are placing the bushings on for the crown wheel. The crown wheel is then installed. Remember that this screw is reverse threaded. Please be careful when removing this screw. If you turn it to the left, expecting it to unscrew and continue to put force into it, the screw can break off, and then you will have a mess on your hands. We place the ratchet wheel on next. This is the one with a square hole that fits on top of the barrel. Back to the swap meet. This guy I was talking to said he got a Rolex for $1. I was like, no way. Was it real? He said it actually was. He said that he sold it to a jeweler that he knows for thousands. Obviously, that is probably not going to be the norm. So we moved ahead a little bit on the crown wheel screw. I tried to put the ratchet wheel screw in here, and it obviously would not work because of the reverse threads. I was trying very hard to make it work, but you and I both know I wasn't gonna. I just hope to find some decent mechanical watches to be able to share with you folks here. I want to try to work on different movements to get a better understanding of how they work in general. If I can make $1 here or there, that would be a plus. Then I can make these videos better and better. Now we're going to place the escapement wheel, and this wheel contacts the pallet fork when assembled. The escapement wheel is the one that has the different looking gear teeth and is usually made of steel versus brass like the other wheels in the train. Next is the escapement wheel bridge. This bridge only has one beautifully blued screw. My wife is excited to go to the swap meet too. She likes different doodads, like crystals. She makes wired wrapped jewelry pieces. I hope she can find something there too. Can you tell I'm a little excited for the trip? It's crazy that I have never heard of this meet. I've lived here my whole life and never knew this was a thing. They're located at a local fairground. They have the event once a month on the first weekend. I took a vacation day from work so we can check it out on Saturday. One day will be sufficient, I'm sure, to find some hidden gems. I struggled with the escapement wheel pivot going into the jewel in the bridge. This went on for a while, so I saved you the time. Sometimes it takes patience. There's nothing wrong with taking a break and coming back to it at a later time. This is a hobby after all, and the last thing you want is to rush it and break apart because of being frustrated. After I get it all lined up, I move the barrel again to see if all the wheels spin freely. You can see that the escapement is now spinning freely. This is the advantage to not installing the pallet fork until after the escapement is placed. This way you can check that all the wheels are lined up correctly. Oh, I just love the way this movement looks, the way the metal is decorated. It looks so majestic. After I get done practicing with this movement, I might find a case to be able to wear it as like a wristwatch. I have seen that there are some cases for this movement to do this. I'll probably try to find a case with a clear back so one can see the movement in action. The pallet fork is up next. This is the clicking that is heard when people think of a clock ticking happily away. We need to place the bottom pivot into the jewel hole. This can be a bit finicky also, but it went in. We then place the pallet fork bridge, lining up the top pivot of the pallet fork with the jewel hole in the bridge. You can then gently move the back of the pallet fork to make sure it placed correctly. One thing I noticed on this was the right screw was very close to one of the train wheels. When I used the correct size screwdriver, it would hit the teeth on the wheel. I was afraid it would damage the teeth. So I ended up using a small screwdriver to give clearance not to damage the teeth on the wheel. Here, I'm just checking to make sure that the pallet fork moves freely and is not bound. We have a new friend, Mr. Pegwood. I use Pegwood because it is soft and won't damage any parts. It can be used for cleaning movements also. It can be shaped to clean jewel holes and can be used to scrape debris away from the movement prior to putting the parts in solvent for the cleaning process. Putting in the second screw now. Did I mention that I love the bluing on these screws? So I won another auction for a Lucien Piccard pocket watch. It is just a little guy. It is supposed to be a 17 jewel movement, but I'm currently struggling to get the case apart. It doesn't look like it can just be popped off. I've tried to unscrew it, I've used the ball, and even lined a press cap with Rodico, but this thing is on tight. I don't want to break it, so I'm working through my options. This pellet bridge is fighting back a little, but we will get it put back where it should go. Are you too good for your home, little screw? I'm being very careful. Maybe too careful? Maybe not. Just don't want to damage anything. Now we start on the keyless works. The setting lever was installed. There is a screw from the other side that connects this to the movement. This keeps the crown stem in place, so when you pull on the crown, the assembly doesn't just come out of the watch. We place the winding pinion and clutch now. With more assembly, disassembly under my belt, I'm sure I will become faster in this. We have to crawl before we walk or run, right? Here comes the clutch lever, or as some call the yoke, and with some time, the intermediate wheel. The entire motion works is now placed. This allows the movement of the hands when setting the time. This movement is simple. It has no additional complications like day or date. Okay, here is the clutch lever spring. We are going to enlist some friends to help with this, calling Mr. Rodico. This is the only real springy spring in this movement. Mr. Wood is here to help too. This spring will take off if we're not careful. It won't even buy a ticket, go through TSA, or anything before a flight. So after some fiddling, we got it in place. Next comes a bridge to cover it all up. The bridge also acts as a spring for the setting lever. This bridge only has one screw, but the holes set over pins in the movement for extra support. We will install the screw and tighten it down a little to keep it in place. Once it is in place, then we can move the spring portion into place with the setting lever, and then tighten the bridge down completely. My wife surprised me with an early Christmas present. It was a Bulova 21 jewel wristwatch. She found it well below retail price. It is silver with a black strap. Very nice watch. I was wearing an Invicta dive watch. It is gold with black bezel. I haven't had it for very long, and the gold plating is already coming off the bracelet. It keeps good time, but I will have to replace the bracelet with something. Now we get to see if all our hard work will pay off. We get to place the balance wheel. This can also be finicky work, but the payoff in the end is well worth it. When the balance wheel starts spinning, it's like the rain stops, the clouds part, and the sun shines warmly on your face while sweet music plays softly all around you. A moment of silence while we witness the miracle of timekeeping. Okay, that didn't take long. It's running. What an amazing feeling to know that you did it. We did it. Now we just place another beautifully blued screw to secure the balance wheel assembly, and on to the next. Mr. Wood is helping me on this, just holding the assembly in place until we can get it secured.
Hey friend, this assembly looks almost complete. Where are we going for our next adventure?
Hey Ash, yes, we are almost done with the assembly. We just have to place the remaining wheels to allow movement of the hands. We need to place the hands and we are done. I think we may work on a pocket watch that I got from an auction. It is an Illinois movement. I need to find a case for it, but we can take it apart and show a way to oil the movement. It is a beautiful movement with gorgeous work. I can keep going. I may enlist your help this time to narrate the video. What'd you think?
That sounds amazing. I could probably do that. Just don't judge me too hard.
Thank you all for coming along with us on this journey. See you next time on Where Time Has No Teeth.